I'm Laura from 5 out of 4 Patterns, and welcome to day 4 of the Agility Tank and Dress Sew Along and Tutorial, sponsored by the wonderful people at Surge Fabric Shops. Now, day 1, we printed, we cut out everything. We're ready to go. Day 2, those of us that just wanted to make a bra, we got to learn how to make just a bra. A T-back and a strappy back. Day 3, those of us who need the nursing option in a bra version only, we accomplished that. We went from top to bottom and we learned how to achieve a nursing bra with the Agility pattern. So today, for all of you that are ready to make your tank or your dress with the overlay options, we're going to jump in and tackle all of that. We're going to do the T-back, we're going to do the strappy back, and we're also going to tackle the nursing option with the overlay. So we'll make a top and we'll make a dress. And tomorrow we will work on finishing up our makes. Let's get started. All right, so here we are ready for day 4, and I have already begun the bra section. This is page 20, bra section, step 1. For the T-back only, I've already completed steps 1 and 2 with both the main and the lining, which means I've attached the T right sides together, and then I've also attached the side seams, the front and the back with the side seams. I've done the same with the lining and the support layer. The gray is my support, the blue is the main, or the lining I should say. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put these up together. All right, so leaving the lining wrong side out, we're going to make sure that the main is turned right side out, and then we're going to place the lining inside the main. So just kind of roll it up there and put it inside. You want the wrong sides touching. So we will line up our side seams first. Give it a clip, and then I'm going to do the same on the bottom as well. Now you can baste these together so that they, you know, just kind of behave, so that they behave well for you, or you can just do as I'm doing and just clip it into place. We want to clip all of our layers here at the neckline too. All right, so here we are. We're all kind of put together. We've got our main, we've got our support layer, and we've got our lining. And we can set that to the side because we're going to move on to the tank and dress from this point of the T-back. Okay, so here we are with the strappy back. We've done the same thing. The only thing we didn't do is attach the T because it doesn't get a T-back. This is for the strappy back. So we've attached the back to the front of both the main and the lining, and then we've placed the lining wrong side out inside of the main, which was right side out, so that wrong sides are together, and we've kind of clipped them all into place. Okay, it's time to prep our nursing option. I've got a couple of the arm binding pieces for the nursing. I've got the nursing layer, and then I've got the back layers and the main bra layers. So this has a little more prep work in it. We're going to start with just the nursing layer. So let's move the back and the front, or the main, out of the way. What we want to do is we want to stack our layers wrong sides together. This would be the lining, then our support layer, which this is Power Net, okay, and those are both wrong side up. And now your main, which is going to be wrong side down, so right side's up. All right, so your power net support is sandwiched between all of this. And of course you can certainly baste all these together to make it a little bit easier to work with if you'd like. Now we've got our arm binding here, and we're going to pin our arm binding to the arms. Now we're going to do yet another clip, but we're going to stretch our binding, not our fabric, just to where the binding and the fabric kind of meet. And then we're going to clip there. Now using a stretch stitch, serger, or zigzag, you're going to sew your arm binding on, stretching the arm binding between each of the clips or pins. Okay, so here we are. You can see this is our front, and it's kind of pulled in those underarms. Don't worry, once you put it on, it won't be puckered. If you have a fabric that will not melt, you need to iron or press your seam allowance toward the binding. So it needs to go up away from the bodice itself. After that, you can use wash away wonder tape if you like, or you can use pins or clips. But since my binding will melt, I'm not going to press it at all, really. So you can actually use wash away wonder tape to make sure it pushes up. But I'm just going to use clips for now. So I'm going to fold. This is single fold binding, so I'm going to fold the binding to cover the stitches. Okay, let's turn to the front side. Now we're going to take it over to our sewing machine and use a stretch stitch or zigzag or our cover stitch machine to top stitch on our binding here. All right, now we're going to place our bra front right side up, just the bra front, not the bra lining. Then we're going to place our nursing layer right on top of it, right side up. Before we add the back bra piece to it, we are going to line up the side seams. We're going to, starting at the bottom of the side seam, we're going to line up the nursing layer and the main. Now what you're going to notice, you're going to pin at the bottom first, and then you're going to lay it flat to match it, and you will see that the main bra is about 3/8 inch taller than the nursing layer. That's okay, it's supposed to be that way. So pin at the top there, and then do the other side. Now that we've done that, let's put our main bra back wrong side up. So it's going to be right side together with the nursing layer. And then we're going to place our support piece, our power net if we're using it, on top of that. And now we're going to match up those side seams. We're going to sew with a stretch stitch, zigzag, or serger both of those side seams. Now that we've done that, let's set it aside. Okay, it's time to move on to our tank and dress. So let's pull out our back overlay. We're going to mark the pleat line with some sort of chalk or, writing utensil. And we're going to fold the back right sides together, matching the armholes. Now we're going to sew down that pleat line about 1/2 inch, making sure we're back stitching on either end. Now we need to open up that pleat. So let's open up that pleat, and we're going to open up the hole that pleat made, and we're going to push it down. Now this is just like a box pleat, and we have a video for that, so I will link it in the description box, and I will put the I will embed it in the blog post as well so that you can see it. So you're going to push that down and press it. Once you've pressed it, you can baste along the top of that pleat. Make sure you're referring to the tutorial. It's important that you not just watch this video tutorial, but you actually refer to the actual tutorial. I don't cover every single detail, and it's really best that you take a good look at what the tutorial has to offer. So what we're going to do now is we are going to place our back overlay and our front overlay right sides together. We're going to line up our side seams, and we are going to stitch with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, just like everything else, down the side seam using a serger, a stretch stitch, or a zigzag. Okay, we have sewn both of our side seams. Now I'm going to open this up to where I'm just seeing the side seam and the arm area. Okay, so this is the arm area, and what we're going to do is we are going to fold it and press it, fold it down 3/8 of an inch, press that down, and then we're going to top stitch that on both underarms. Okay, so here we are, we have top stitched, I use a stretch stitch, our armholes, and now the next thing for us to do is to take the front, the top front, you can see I've already done a little bit, and you're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to snip a little snip off of the top center, just so you know the center. Next, after that, you're going to run 2 gathering stitches. You're going to lengthen your stitch. This is a straight stitch, and you're going to run 2 lines of stitches, making sure you leave tails on either end so that you can gather. On the tutorial, you'll see a chart. You'll use the measurement that corresponds with your size to find out how wide this top piece needs to be once you've finished gathering. So I'm going to get my tape measure and we are going to get that done. Now gently even out your gathers. You want it to be equally gathered all the way across, but be gentle with it. You don't want to pull too hard. Okay, everything that we just did, you're going to repeat on all of your dresses or your tanks, whether you're doing the strappy back or the nursing or the tee back. Okay, now we need to attach this overlay to our bra. So I pulled out my bra that we have already prepared for this. And the first thing we need to do is we need to find the center of the bra front. So I have a pin there or a clip there, but I don't think it's center. So we just need to double check that it is center, and it is not. So let's fix that and lay that down just like this. Okay. Now we're going to take our overlay and we're going to find the front. So the bra front is right side up. Now the overlay is going to be right side up as well, which means it's wrong side down. Now you're going to find that place that you clipped, which is right here. That's the center. So your gather, because you even it out, should be the same on either side. So if it's not, go ahead and fix that. So that center snip that we did prior to gathering, that's going to line up with the center front of our bra. So clip that into place. Be gentle so you're not like moving your gathers around too much. And then you're lining your overlay up with the top edge of the bra. Now if you're doing the nursing, you're attaching this to the nursing layer. The nursing layer only. Okay, so we're gonna baste this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance onto the front edge. Okay, here we are basted together here, and our front is looking fabulous. Now we're going to turn this over. Now we need to find the center of our back bra as well. I'm almost there, but not quite. Okay, so we found the center of our back bra. Let's lay that out here. This is the center. This seam here from the pleat that we did, that is the center of this back piece, and we're going to center that with the center back of the bra. Clip that into place. Now we're going to baste that in place as well, just like we did the front side. Okay, here we are. You can see our back is together. If I lay this out, you'll be able to see what the whole top will end up looking like. So this is the back. All right, and this is going to be the strappy back. So you'll see straps come around, but that's the back, excuse me. And this is the front. So you can see, and then you'll have your binding will come and it will cover all of this. So speaking of binding, now that we've done this, if we're making the regular top or dress, the non-nursing version, we're going to skip to the tee-back binding or the strappy back binding. I'm going to insert video from day 2 of the sew along right after this to show how we would do binding. It's exactly the same as the bra, and the whole finishing of the bra section is exactly the same. If you're doing the nursing version, we're going to go back a few steps so that we can complete that, and then I'm going to insert some video there. Let's pretend that this is the nurse overlay. So you're going to attach the neck binding to the nursing layer. You're going to attach that nursing layer neck binding to this. All right, and then you're going to continue on. It's just exactly like the bra. All right, now let's turn it to the right side. We're going to do the same thing to this neckline. The first thing we want to do though is we want to find the center of our neckline here, and then we'll find the center of our binding piece. Now, using a serger, stretch stitch, or zigzag, we are going to sew this on. All right, let's press. We're going to press again. We're going to press our seam allowance toward the binding, away from the bodice. Now we're going to repeat what we just did, and we're going to top stitch using a stretch stitch, zigzag, or cover stitch. All right, let's give it a press. Now we need to trim off the excess. All right, here we are. Okay, so let's just clarify a little something here. Now, if you're making the T-back bra, you will have already taken your main and your lining fabric and attach that T-back. I have not done that because I'm doing the strappy version, so make sure you don't skip that first step. Now let's turn our bra over, and let's make sure we have the center of our back piece. So now we're going to attach our binding to our bra. Now, remembering that, let's look at this. We've got our two seams here where we attach the back to the back's binding to the arm binding. Now these are going to match our side seams. So in this pin is going to match the center of the back. And we're also going to add elastic to this. We're going to do this exactly the same way that we just did the neckline and the strap. It's exactly the same, it's just the back and the arms that come up to another strap. All right, here we are. We've got our arm and strap and back binding all attached. Now we got to just finish it off. So let's turn it around here. I'm going to turn it wrong side out. And we're going to pull out our wash away wonder tape again, because remember, I can't iron this because, you know, I don't want melted spots. So we're going to put our wash away wonder tape, because the seam allowance needs to go up, right? And I can't really make sure, I can't iron it up, which is what I would normally do. I'm going to use some wash away wonder tape. So you're going to put it on this side, the elastic side of the back here. Now we're going to turn it this way, and we got to do the other side. Again, the seam allowance needs to be pushed up, whether you're ironing it or you're using wash away wonder tape like me. It needs to be pushed up toward the binding, not toward the bodice. Now, more wash away wonder tape. If you're not using wash away wonder tape, you're simply going to fold it down toward, this is the inside, the wrong side of our bra, toward the wrong side, and pin or clip in place. Okay, I'm using wash away wonder tape because I love it and I have it. So we'll start across the back, just what we just did. The important thing about this is that you take your time. This is not like a beginner pattern. That doesn't mean a beginner could not do this with a lot of patience and a lot of just taking your time. I do believe anyone can make this pattern. Just don't feel like you're going to rush through it. This isn't a quick sew, you know, basic t-shirt or whatever. Or tank. It's something you've got to take your time with, and there's a learning curve. There's some things, well, I would say the coolest thing about this pattern is that if you're new to some of the concepts, you're learning so much, and that's what makes it so fun. As many times as I've made this, and as many mistakes as I've made while making it, every single time I finish, mistakes and all, I'm really proud of my work, and I'm like, look at this thing that I just made. So, you know, to me, it's a confidence booster, and I learned so very much, even still, as I've made it several times. In fact, I tested this pattern when it first came out. I still learn things every time I make it. I still make whether they're small mistakes or big mistakes, I still make mistakes each time because I'm still learning. We're all still learning how to achieve, you know, really awesome sews. None of us really ever arrive. None of us are ever perfect. So it's nice to feel like you're learning something. And after all, you know, we constantly say never stop sewing, never stop growing, and we really do believe that. And this is one of those patterns that's super fun and does help you to grow. Okay, so let's turn it right side out. It's time to top stitch. We're going to top stitch the exact same way that we did the neckline, with a cover stitch, stretch stitch, or zigzag, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that I have finished my binding, which means I have top stitched it and I have trimmed off the extra fabric that I don't need, it's time to assess fit. So I put this on my model just like I did with the T-back, but I'm trying to find placement for my straps. So refer to the tutorial that shows you exactly how this should fit. It tells you exactly where things should hit and the support that you should have. Once you have done that and you know exactly where your straps need to be, it's time to do the underbust elastic. Now, how do you do the underbust elastic? Well, we already covered that back in the T-back. Super easy. So that's all you'll need to do. You'll need to attach your straps, and you're just going to stitch over the same stitch line, just like with the T-back, and you are going to put your underbust elastic in. Now it's time to do binding. Like, we've got the main stuff all kind of put together, and we're going to put some binding on it. So we're going to, there's a link in there to skip to the T-back binding, and that takes us to page 26. It says if you've not already cut your neck binding pieces that now is the time to do that and use the table below. I have done that. Okay, so we've got our neck binding piece here, right? And that's what we're going to work on. Now here's what it says to do. We're going to place the short ends of our binding right sides together. So you want to double check that we're at right sides. I'm going to place them right sides together. And we're going to clip. Okay. Now that we've done that, we're going to sew across here. Okay, so here we are. We've got our binding piece stitched together. You're going to use a serger, a stretch stitch, or a zigzag to make a circle. Right now it's time to mark our binding into quarters. Now we're going to mark our neck line into quarters as well. Okay, now that we have everything quartered, we're going to place the binding piece right sides together with our main piece around the neckline. Now, if you want a little more support and you want to add some elastic, you can do that. 3/8 inch elastic is what you will use. I'm not going to do that on this one. I'll show you how to add that on the strappy back. Okay, so here we've got our binding clipped to or pinned to. Now we're going to stitch all the way around it using a stretch stitch, a serger, or a zigzag. Here we are, we've got our binding attached to our neckline. We're going to finish this using the single fold binding method. If you check out your tutorial on step 2 of the T-back binding area, there's a link called binding details. Now that takes you to page 39 where it talks about how to do single fold binding. Now I also have a sewing school for single fold binding, which I will link as well, but for now let's just do this. So I'm going to start by pressing Now we grab our, where'd they go? We grab our clips, make sure we have some of those. You can use clips, you can use wash away wonder tape. Those are both great options here. You're just going to fold your binding to where it covers your seam allowance here. And clip it, pin it, wash away wonder tape it in place. Okay, you're going to go all the way around. Put as many pins or clips as you feel like you need. And it is totally acceptable to use wash away wonder tape here. We're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to top stitch. We can use a zigzag, a stretch stitch, or a cover stitch, and we're going to top stitch all the way around our neckline to just sew that binding in place. So here we are. Let's give it a press. We're going to turn it, once we press it, we're going to turn it to the wrong side. So we're going to turn it over. So you can see that we've got some extra fabric here from our binding piece. We're simply going to trim that off. So now none of our little excess is going to peek through, and it looks nice and finished on the right side. So the neckline is finished and it looks super cute. Okay, now we're going to take our back binding piece and we're going to place it right sides together with our 2 arm pieces. And we're going to stitch those to where they are one continuous piece. All right, so here, and then we have another one. And we're going to sew these short ends together to give us one long piece. I'll be right back. All right, here we are. All right, now we're going to take our long piece here and we're going to mark the center of the binding. So this is going to be the center here. Okay, we've got the center mark. So just as a note, these two seams right here, they're going to line up with the bra side seams. So the side seams of the bra will be right here. Okay, so that's just something to note. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to mark the location of our shoulder points from each end of this binding piece. And we're going to refer to the chart above that tells us exactly what our measurement needs to be. So it says mark the shoulder point from each end. So we're going to start here. We need our measurements. It coincides with the size that you're making. So I'm going to measure in. Let's try this. There we go. All right, let's turn this way. Again, we're putting right sides together. And we're doing this part here. It's going to go up and around and across and up and around and down, okay? So we're going to start with the ends. They're going to line up. So that's number 1 on your illustration there. Move that other way. Okay, so there's number 1. Number 2 is the shoulder, which is exactly the pin that we use. So we're lining up that pin with that shoulder seam. And we're clipping or pinning in place. And then our side seam here is going to come all the way to the side seam. So our seam here comes to the side seam of the bra itself. So you're going to line up those seams and clip it in place. Okay, then bring it around. All right, so this next pin is the center. So we need to make sure we have the center of this back piece. So if you haven't done that, you need to do that. So match up your side seams and then find that center. Okay, so we have the center of the back marked. Grab your binding here. And where we pinned the center of the middle section, the back, that pin is going to match the center of the back piece there, okay? So there's that. And then you have another seam here, which we know lines up with our side seam. So we'll line up our side seams and clip that in place. Next is a pin. That's for the shoulder because we pinned the shoulder. And then we're back to, would be number 5, and it comes to the bottom. And remember, we're right sides together here. And I'll unfold this so you can see what it looks like. We pinned at the beginning and at the shoulder seam, at the side seam, at the center back, at the other side seam, at the other shoulder seam, and at the end, we're going to pin a little bit more to make sure it's just kind of all where it needs to be. So now we are going to do exactly what we did before, and we are going to sew with a serger, stretch stitch, or zigzag all along this binding piece. Okay, here we are. We are going to do the exact same thing that we did on the neckline. We're going to do here with our single fold binding. First, I'm going to give it a good press. So as you can see, if you use wash away wonder tape, you don't have to use a single pin or clip. Just make sure it's all folded nice and neatly. Okay, now we're going to do the finish out this other side here. So now we're going to top stitch all the way around on the right side using a stretch stitch, serger, or zigzag. Okay, here we are. We're going to do exactly what we did on the neck band. We are going to, or the neck piece, press it, and then we're going to trim off the excess fabric on the wrong side. Now, if you want to do double fold binding on this, you certainly can. It gives it an even cleaner look on the inside, but it's up to you. Single fold binding works just fine. Especially if you're new binding and new to this pattern. All right, and you'll find the first time you do single fold binding, maybe the second, maybe the 10th time you do single fold binding or double fold binding, that it isn't as perfect as you would like it to be. That's okay. You just have to keep practicing. We all make mistakes, no matter how long we've been sewing. We still make mistakes, and things don't look sometimes the way we wish they would, and that's okay. It's all a process. Okay, at this point, it's time to assess the fit of a bra. We are going to assess the fit and determine where, let me turn this right side up so that you can see it, where this tee should go. This could be very much too long for you. I know for mine, when I made it for me, it was too long for me. So you'll have to assess the fit and then mark where this needs to be sewn onto. Now, if you go back to the beginning of the tutorial, there is an entire section on fit and what this should look like. So take a good look at that and compare the fit on your body to the desired fit of this pattern in that section. That section is very, very helpful. It's there to help you, so you might as well use it. So I'm going to assess the fit on this particular bra, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so I have tried this on my model, and you can see here, or hopefully you can, I've placed a mark to how far up or down this needs to go. This is my 13-year-old daughter, so she's not as long through here as an adult quite yet. And she's peeking in here at me. So it can be anywhere. It's all a matter of your length through your body as to how short, and it really needs to fit properly the way that the instructions tell you. So you just, you need to assess that on your own body or your own model's body. So at this point, we're going to sew that in. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to bring the bottom to meet my marking, however you marked it. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like. Let me grab my pins. All right, my next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this tee to the back bodice piece here, and I'm going to stitch along the same stitch line as I did for the binding itself across this here. Okay, so here we are. Our bra is assembled. Super cute. So if I turn the bra wrong side out, you can see that I have this extra flap here from the tee, from where I adjusted that for my daughter. We're going to want to cut that off. Find my scissors. Here we go. Because you don't need all that extra fabric. You may or may not have any leftover fabric here. It depends on your own body or whoever you're making this for. All right, so that's how that's going to look, and it's totally attached very nicely to our back bodice there. So we're looking for 3/4 inch elastic, which I have here, which I also bought at Surge Fabric Shop. We're going to measure your underbust. That's what you're going to do here. And you are going to subtract 1 to 2 inches, whatever you're most comfortable with. Now there is a chart in here, but that's just general, okay? Those measurements may not be comfortable for you, so don't just cut your elastic at 30 inches and just assume that it's going to fit right. So you're going to want to measure your under bust because everybody's slightly different and our comfort levels are also different. So you're going to make sure you want to make sure that you do that. So I have already done that with my daughter, and I have my piece of elastic right here. So okay, elastic is quartered. Now we need to quarter the bottom of our bra. Now let's note that the side seams are not necessarily the quarter points, okay? We're going to match our side seams. We're trying to find the center of the front and the center of the back first, so we can mark that. Get our layers all together and matched. All right. There's the center back. Now we're going to match the center front and center back to find the quarter point on the side. So this, you can see right here, this is the side seam right here. And so this is, the side seam is not the quarter point. It's just past that side seam. Make sure you're marking that correctly. Depending on the size of your underbust measurement, you may or may not have a whole lot to pull, to stretch here. Now my 13-year-old is busty, so she has a large bust, but she's very small under the bust. So I have quite a bit, you can see, that I'm gonna have to pull in, but that's what's gonna fit her best. So let's get that sewn. Whew, that was huge. We just accomplished so much. If you wanted a nursing top, you got it. If you wanted a nursing dress, you got it. If you wanted a strappy back with the overlay top or dress, you got it. If you wanted a tee back with the overlay top or dress, you got that too. The only thing left to do tomorrow is to finish this up. We'll hem, we'll band, and we'll even do a drawstring. I'm super excited. I will see you tomorrow.